Hello, and welcome to Crushing Classical. I'm Tracy Friedlander, and I'm so happy you're joining me for this podcast. On this episode, I interviewed comedian and clarinetist Mary Mack, who was totally blown away by the podcasting website I use. Once we were connected on our call, she immediately said, "Press record!" It was great. Mary Mack is a clarinet player who majored in clarinet all through her master's degree. She started her career as a music teacher and realized she had a knack for comedy when she had to talk at her klezmer band gigs. She said that at her gigs, people liked the talking more than the playing, so she gradually moved on from her music career and is now enjoying a career as a comedian. I discovered Mary when my friend Bernard Scully, who I interviewed on a previous episode, shared the video of her recent Conan O'Brien appearance with me. As soon as I saw the video, I just knew I had to have her on my podcast, and I'm so glad she said yes. If you're in Grand Rapids, Michigan, she's going to be appearing in the Grand Rapids, Michigan Laugh Fest March 17th and 18th. And her latest album, Pig Woman, is available on iTunes or at marymackcomedy.com. I can't wait to hear it. All of these links are in the show notes. Here's the episode. Enjoy.
I was waiting for like one of those horrible FaceTime alerts. Here I am, like, I'm just amazed you just showed up on the screen.
Yeah, it's like technology stuff.
You can't see me though, right?
No, I can't see you.
Wow, this is so crazy. Has any other guest been this amazed by technology that you've had on so far?
No, most people are like, "Oh, we're connected. Oh, that's cool." Like,
But aren't they scared? I'm totally scared. Like, you just came up on my computer and I didn't have to approve you. Is this like you already did a pre-approval on the link or something?
Well, you and I are the only ones that have the link, so no one else can spy on us. Yeah, it's a specially made link.
What if I were to go on to this link? Like, you have to have the link open in order for somebody to hear what you're doing, right?
Yeah, so if someone else had the link, they could join in on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. And all you did to pre-approve was you just typed my name, right?
Yes, exactly.
It seems like I know that this must be coming from like a spyware or some sort of evil source they made for good, I hope. I hope this is for good.
Only for good. Classical musicians couldn't possibly be for anything but good, right?
Yeah. Thank you for having me on Crushing Classical.
Thanks for being on, Mary. I'm so excited that I even, found you on it was because you were on Conan and a friend of mine forwarded me the stand-up routine that you did there.
Aw, thank you for watching it. Thanks for making it through the commercial at the front.
That must have been so fun to be on there.
Oh yeah, they were great. They were so much nicer than anything, like the crew and the booker and everything. So much nicer than anything I've done before. And I have done like Last Comic Standing in Comedy Central, and the Comedy Central people were nice too, but at the time, I have to blow the dog hair off of this computer. At the time I did Last Comic, it was so many years ago. The nice ladies who do it now weren't doing it, and it was not a great experience. So, but at Conan, it made me want to do more late night sets because I got my own cheese tray even, and I didn't have to share it. And there were like 5 types of cheeses on there.
So, wow, that's big time.
I know. I was on that day with an actress. She's really funny from, I think it's called Better Things, or it's a Louis C.K. project. But she was great. And I was also on with Bob Costas, and I didn't even have to share my cheese tray with Bob Costas. That makes you feel good. Can I tell you a story about I know you have a list of questions, but I think it's always better just to go off track.
This is way better than my question. So yeah, and you know what? I'm afraid that while I'm talking to you, my Chicago accent is going to come out more. So
My Duluth, Minnesota accent is
yeah,
give,
it's impacting me.
it's like a reciprocity for your Chicago accent. And
Yeah.
I've been I picked up some of that Chicago accent just from when I went to college down in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, which was okay. Don't let me forget to tell you my Bob Costas story.
Okay.
Anyway, I noticed when I went down there, and then when you're down there for 5 years or 6 years, because I taught after I went to school, that southeastern Wisconsin accent has a lot in common with the Chicago accent.
Yeah.
So, but that's where you were raised.
Yeah, I was raised in Illinois. My parents are from Chicago, so yeah. And now
Cool.
I've lived in the South for a while, so my accent is way less Chicago now, can't you tell?
You have a hybrid. Yeah, yeah. I can. You don't sound. You don't yet sound like Jeff Sessions, but maybe if you work at it.
Who's that?
Jeff Sessions, the oh, Attorney General nominee, uh,
Oh,
who who said the KKK is not that bad. He has the most. The, Normally, I love regionalism and I love accents, but that Alabama accent on him just sounds too much like the wrong side of a civil rights movement. So, so I don't want to offend people with beautiful Southern accents, but you
right.
guys need to disassociate yourself from that session. Yeah, that guy's a monster.
So tell me about your school. Like you said you went to school in Oshkosh?
I did, but can I tell you my Bob Costas story?
Oh, for sure. Tell me that first.
Okay, this might take the whole episode. No, no, no. So I'm a big fan of anybody who does their job well and who can negotiate very awkward situations well.
Yeah.
Two such people are Bob Costas and Carson Daly, and I think they're just personalities who do a good job adapting. And I think, and I like some sports announcers, and just now been appreciating Rachel Maddow and some other announcers just for being able to do a good job in a weird situation. But anyway, so I'm a big fan, and the Conan Booker. So here, Bob Costas and I are in makeup together, hair and makeup, and the Booker introduces us. This is Mary. She's a big fan, and he's like, "Oh, thanks, Mary. Such a nice guy." And he's like, so nice. He's like, "Oh," I'm like, "Hi, Bob Costas." He's like, "Oh, I like your cute haircut." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Thank you so much, Bob Costas. I cut it myself this morning with one of those little sewing kit scissors I bought at the airport." And he's like, "No," and I'm like, "Yeah." And, we're going on about hair, and I go, I wanted to talk. He could tell I was kind of looking for some fodder from him. So immediately, this is how good he is. He shuts it down by saying, "You can make fun of me all you want." And he mentions the pink eye and all this from the Olympics. I'm like, God, can I swear in here?
Yes.
I really was like, God damn it, Bob Costas. Now I'm not gonna make fun of you. You deflated it. So do the show. Start doing the show, and he's on there. He's so good. He tells this long, that's my dog. He does this long, like emotional, nostalgic story, and then takes a break. It was a great story, and then he comes back and he does a really funny story, which was smart before the comic comes on. And I thought, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to follow Bob Costas. I'm never going to be as funny as that. But he just made it so the crowd was ready to go, and I ended up having so much fun on there, and And then at the
Okay.
end, you're all on stage together and
Gross.
you all walk out through the curtain together. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to look up all your stuff on YouTube. I'm like, no, please don't. Like, how do I scrub my YouTube? There's stuff on there from when you first start. When you first start, and you're like, oh man, yeah, sure, put that up on the internet. It won't be around when all this internet stuff blows over. It's only temporary. That's what I thought at the time. And now there's just like, all your worst days are on the internet that people can find, and when you're first starting out, and just like I didn't even wear makeup. Not only was I not funny, I looked horrible.
Well, you can take that stuff off, right?
Guess what? I have these situations where when I didn't actually even like believe. I was like Donald Trump and global warming. I didn't even believe in the internet yet. And so of course I just signed these things because I was like, oh yeah, whatever. That's like nobody will see that. And it'll be gone within a year, I'm assuming. But kind of, I've tried to contact these companies where they're like, here, kid, here's $25. We're gonna put your set on our YouTube channel, and you're not funny yet, and it's a bad set. And then I tried to contact them and scrub it, and they won't reply, or they'll avoid you at all costs because
Really?
they need content. People are just desperate for content, no matter how bad it is. But it's a frustrating situation. Like there should be a legal clause somewhere where anybody signing anything in the first 2 years within the invention of the public-friendly internet should get. Would indemnity be the right word? I'm not sure. But we should be able to get our stuff off of there because it's. And now Bob Costas knows. I have not had one phone call from Bob Costas, so now that means he got on my YouTube and decided he didn't want to be my friend anymore.
Well, I think you can win him back. I mean, so tell me though, I want to know, is that the reason why I think that you're really into polka because of that video that maybe was just a one-time thing about polka, or are you really like
I love it. I only play one polka fest a year now because my full-time money comes from stand-up comedy.
Uh-huh.
I used to have when you're in high school in Wisconsin, that's a really easy way to make $50 is go play in this polka group at the Rotary Club. And then gradually, we had one school in our conference that had their school polka band. Like polka is really big in Wisconsin. In Chicago, like there's a lot of polka, like Wisconsin has a polka king and queen. There's a lot of Polish Americans down in Chicago, and Catholic, they have polka mass down there. Wisconsin has polka mass. But it's, wouldn't that be funny if Bach wrote a Misa polka?
Well, yeah, I mean, my family's Polish. I grew up, we didn't do the whole polka thing, but everybody, all the older generation, they all knew all the polkas. And that's why when I told my mom I was interviewing you and she had seen the video about the polkas, she was like, "Oh, does Mary know who stole the kishka?"
Yeah, I love that one. Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? They're always so funny, and they go, "Who stole the kishka? Someone call the cops!" And it's like they're just ridiculous and fun, and it's all about the beat, and it's all about eating and drinking. And I had a band for about 5 years in Nashville, Tennessee, because I did my grad school down there, and I taught some down there. And I worked really hard at it, but nobody else in the band other than my roommate, who was also from Wisconsin, and she was the drummer. Nobody else took it that seriously. So
like you said in your stand-up that I saw that you have 2 degrees in clarinet. So you have a master's. You went all the way through master's.
Now what I did was I changed that. I do have 2 degrees. I changed that for the joke. but my first degree is clarinet performance. And people think I went to, University of Wisconsin Oshkosh, so that still means you have to do your science labs and you still have to do all your music history.
Yeah.
Not, so I did that, and then I taught for a couple years, and I had always wanted to do. Oh, did I only teach? I only taught 1 year after that because that was clarinet performance. So I taught at a public or a private school, and I had always wanted to be a youth orchestra conductor since I was in high school doing honors bands, and I loved the orchestra and watching the orchestra move. Like I remember when I was in 12th grade in the Wisconsin State Honors Band, and I would sit in on I was doing band because I didn't know what an A clarinet, we didn't have access to A clarinets in the woods. So we just had our band, and band was it. There were no string players. And because I grew up in there was one string player, the Cobb brothers. They were pig farmers, but they were so good at strings, like they just quit school and moved to Nashville, and they're still there making lots of money in Nashville.
Oh wow!
But as for me, going to do these things down in Madison, and Green Bay, and sometimes Superior would have one. I would watch the orchestra move, like the strings move together, and it was like during Candide,
Yes,
the overture, when I see all the strings moving together, and I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to be a youth orchestra conductor. So I did my bachelor of music at Oshkosh, and then I taught a year, and then I started applying for teaching assistantships because I had no money. I was working for a Catholic school, and they don't pay, despite all the rumors. Despite all the rumors, you don't get rich working at a Catholic school. Teaching band and music and trying to accompany the mass when you don't hardly play the piano. So I got a teaching assistantship at Middle Tennessee State, and I had so many friends in Nashville for the recording industry that I said, yeah, well, I'll go down there and work and do my schooling. So I got a MFA and with a conducting emphasis. So it's basically another music degree and in conducting. Mm-hmm. And then I did teach preparatory. This is such a long answer. People are going to fall asleep and go off the road. So I did teach. I taught school, and then at night I do youth orchestra, but only the preparatory, which was fine because they're great kids. And then I did that for 2 years, and then I knew after the first year that I wasn't somebody who liked to deal with the sponsors and the families getting mad because their kid wasn't first chair, or it was really like the business side of it that I didn't like that at all. And in a smaller program like that, you have to do be involved in all the parts. You don't have the volunteers going out, and you do have volunteers going out and getting sponsors, but you still need to be doing that. And at the time, I could probably do it now, but at the time I wasn't brave enough to tackle the business end. But the kids were just wonderful, and now they come back as adults to my comedy shows, and I'm embarrassed.
So how did you decide how do you start doing comedy? I mean, did you always know you loved comedy, or what? How did that?
I'd only seen I had never seen stand-up comedy live before I did comedy. I had only watched, I had seen a Bill Cosby tape, and that's kind of a sore topic. And I had seen Louis Anderson's tape, and I'm friends with Louis now, and he was so good, and he's even better now. He finally is getting some recognition. Like, he had recognition, but now he's really getting recognition for how good he is. And
Mhm.
it just shows you how long it takes and how timeless it is. He just won an Emmy for acting in that series Baskets, and he's great. So I've learned a lot from him working with him, and but those were the only two I'd seen, and I hadn't thought of it, but I was always goofing off as a in high school and writing silly stories and writing funny things and not thinking you could do anything with that. But what happened? Our polka band uh, had a lot of infighting. They're not normally. I don't think they're normally known for that. But it was a lot. We were the Spinal Tap of polka bands. Had a different tuba player every 4 weeks, and they'd mysteriously disappear. But finally, what happened was we call our front man, and we had a guitar singer. So not every polka band has a guitar player singer out front, but we did. And he was in. We're like, where are you? We're basically doing dress rehearsal, sort of, for this big gig tomorrow. Like it was probably our biggest gig we had booked, where people would actually be sitting there just watching us, and it would be like kind of like a little theater thing, which is not normal for a polka band. So it was a nice opportunity to entertain. He says, "Oh, I'm in this is in Tennessee," but he goes, "Oh, yeah, well, I'm in Virginia. My girlfriend and I drove here to see Ben Folds." And so we were stuck because it's a long time to fill on stage. We had an hour first half, hour second half, I think, or a little less. And I had to just write stories and sketches to like fill the time, because I'm not much of a singer, and or was never a front man. I arranged all the music and just played flute and clarinet and sax in the background.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that, and I really enjoyed writing those bits. And then finally the band just broke up, and I needed a way to perform, because I really did enjoy performing. And so my roommate signed me up for an open mic. She didn't tell me it was African American poetry night. She said, just prepare a story. So I went there with a story and my clarinet, and I played Stravinsky's three movements for clarinet. My brain is kind of mushy right now, but I played that but I told them I was there. I had moved to Tennessee because I wanted to be the first house clarinetist for NASCAR, and these beautiful African American women in the back were like so supportive that I had to keep a straight face, and they probably believed, they didn't even know I was doing comedy. They thought I really meant these things. And then I tell some of the story, and then I play some Stravinsky. And then when I got done, I was just so amazed that those people were listening and quiet and listening. And it was like not much, there was no laughter because they couldn't tell if I was doing comedy or not. But it was so silent and nice. And after fighting with a polka band, and at the time teaching beginning band, where we would get in trouble from other teachers' classrooms for being too loud for their classroom.
Yeah.
After all that noise, and then just being on stage in this peaceful spot where it didn't really matter if people laughed, to me, it was just like a pleasant time. and that's when I got hooked. That is just like the very first time I got hooked, because people listened to me. And I come from a big family, 6 kids. Nobody ever listened to me, and band students hardly listen to me. And that was just like an addiction right there. It started right there. So maybe that was that might even be my FU moment there. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking while you were telling the story. It was like your screw this moment. Like,
Yeah.
wow, this is what I want to do now.
Yeah, and I just went full bore into it. So, yeah, it was really weird. Like and it's always evolving, your sometimes it'll change into a writing gig or it changes into an acting gig or so it's hard to get bored doing it. And mostly the first goal was to be a road comic, and I did enough of that where I'm like, oh, what else is there? So now I'm just doing some writing and some other things like that. So
So by road comic, you mean like going from city to city doing
yeah,
stand up? So
yeah,
you still do that or you don't do that now?
I do, and I love it. I come down to North Carolina. Actually, I was hoping to have a date in North Carolina by the time I talk to you.
Yeah.
I still might, but what happens when you get old enough in comedy is sometimes you get put on hold for these projects where your calendar is up in the air and you can't, like, everything waits till you get done with one meeting. So I won't really know for me, that meeting is like February 8th. And if I don't screw it up, which I usually do, I won't, I don't, I might not be available for months. And that's actually the hope. Isn't it funny after a while when you're doing comedy, your hope is not to do comedy?
Oh my gosh,
Because
that's do you ever watch comedians in cars getting coffee with Jerry Seinfeld?
yeah, I've seen one episode of that, but I confess to you, like I can watch that because it's on like YouTube or something, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I know how to work YouTube, but I confess to you when you made your introductory call that I've never downloaded a podcast and I don't know how to do it. So
And then
because I'm interested in this podcast, what all the classically trained musicians are doing now, I'm going to learn how to download a podcast. People are like, "Oh, it's easy. It's on iTunes." I'm like, "Oh God, have you ever been on the iTunes page? There's where it's ridiculous. Like I give up. I go to the page. I see. I give up. Like I give up, and I close the page, and I can't do it. I bought CDs on there, but for some reason, um, and then I'm afraid the podcast won't stop downloading. Like, how do I make them stop downloading? And what if they download other podcasts and they download the whole seasons of these? My computer's gonna crash. So it's probably more a fear of technology than anything.
well, I think it can you can simplify it and I'll help you, I promise. But the reason why I brought up that show is because when Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David did it together, it was so funny because he said the exact same thing on it. He said I always wished that the show would get canceled so I wouldn't have to work because he was like
Oh man, Larry David said that.
yeah, when he was talking about Seinfeld, he was always like, I always wish it would just get canceled so I could take a break and stop working. And
Oh
of course, he
God,
said it in a way funnier way. But
yeah.
the two of them, to me, are like together are some of the funniest interactions because they just crack each other up. They are so funny.
I will. I'd like to watch that one. See, I think I saw the one with Mel Brooks or um, who's Mel Brooks' partner? Right, Reiner. Was it Carl Reiner? Yeah, Carl Reiner. I think that he did something with them. I know Mark Maron went over and interviewed both of those guys on WTF. No, that was one of the first podcasts I ever did. It was WTF. That's uh, um, kind of and I actually never even downloaded my episode because I didn't know how to do it. So people who are like, "Oh, I really like your WTF episode." I'm like, "Oh, what did I say? I didn't." I did play clarinet on that one though. So,
Are you gonna play clarinet on this one?
oh my gosh, why did I do that? You know what? Why did I? I've been in like 5 different cities this week, and this is the first time I've been home for like 8 days, I think. The last time I talked to you, I think, was it, and then I left,
Yeah.
and then it's just go go go. People think when you're in comedy, it's like super easy, and no, you rarely have you rarely have time to do what you want when you're really doing your work. It's a lot like teaching, you know. You're busy
Hmm.
from depending on if you're doing radio that day, you could be busy from 6 in the morning till midnight. I remember getting done with polka gigs at like 1 or 2 in the morning, and then going in to teach at 6,
Oh,
and
yeah.
being like, all right, kids, we're gonna watch, we're gonna watch this video today. And it would be a good music video, and they learned a lot, but I mean, you can only do that so many times and not lose your job, I think.
So, what other projects are you doing right now? So I
Oh,
mean, you said you're doing some stand up and I mean, maybe there's some stuff is secret and you're not allowed to
yeah,
talk
I'm
about
not actually allowed to talk about it. I can tell you what I did this week. I recorded there's a show on late night NBC called Last Call with Carson Daly.
it. Okay. I think I've seen that before.
Yeah, he's amazing. He hosts The Voice, and he I think he's also on the Today Show, and he has this radio show, and like the guy doesn't even have time to wipe his butt. So I I um oh god. This is a weird, this is getting back to technology. I taped for that show. They do a nice little background piece on you and then show some of your stand up. So I taped for that this week, but I only found out about it 2 weeks ago because they had emailed me back in October, and I thought it was spam. So I never opened the email. I thought, I'm not going to click on that because my whole computer will get a virus, just like how I think with podcasts. And uh, so I didn't click on it, and and then because your goal as a comic is you actually got to get TV credits so you can get more people in your crowd. And then about 2 weeks before going to do it, I get another email from this gal. She says, just checking in again, seeing if you're going to come do this taping. And I was like, maybe I better research this. So I Googled it, and I Googled Carson Daly, and I'm like, oh yeah, that I love that guy. Like, he's amazing. He does a great job. And this is an actual network non-cable credit, like an NBC credit. And so I hate flying. So the first thing I asked her was, are you gonna showcase any other dates? you gonna tape any other dates? And I'm trying to find ways to take the Amtrak out there or something. And 'cause it takes place in LA. And they're like, no, just this date. So then I found a way to get there, and did that. So now I got another nice little TV package that will be coming out like later than I stay up. But if I could figure out the VCR again, I could probably tape it. That yeah,
The VCR. Do you still use a VCR?
yeah. I have all my Monty Python VHS tapes. So I mean, I got a lot of valuable material on VHS. Yeah, I don't. I should get. I don't know. I don't even know how to work the remote, Tracy. Is this horrible? Like, I always just thought I would end up with goats making cheese. My dream was like, yeah, I'll do like I'll have a youth orchestra, maybe, and then conduct that, and then retire to my goats in the woods, and be like a cheese artisan. And uh, you know, I guess dreams come true somehow. Maybe that might happen. But right now I gotta got to do this, and I just am not technologically sound. But
Well,
I'm, yeah.
this stuff, like you said, it might all blow over, you know?
Well, yeah, especially what with the libel laws and the censorship we're about to start experiencing. Um,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
We're
And
gonna have to go back to writing letters to each other.
oh, yeah, I know. And I think that's actually still really an effective form of communication in some ways, especially if
Yeah.
you put like sparkly stickers on the outside of your letter so people know it's not a bill.
Yes.
You
Well,
have
I
to,
kept all my letters like that because, I'm from before internet time.
yeah.
My friends would write letters to me in college, and I still have them. Like it's kind of fun to go back and look at those. But yeah, so I can't wait to see your Carson Daily spot. That'll be fun.
Thank you. Yeah, I
You know
hope.
when it airs?
What's that?
You know when it's gonna air?
Okay, I will get back to you with the date because they have to put the
Okay.
package together and um so yeah, maybe that would be a great thing to plug on here and
Oh,
then
for sure. I can always add it to the show notes and stuff, even
yeah,
if, I can't really add it again to
yeah,
the recording. I can add it and post about it and stuff. So,
cool. Yeah, thank you. And I do hope to get down to I I really do like performing in the so like the Carolinas and um so I who knows, schedule changes every day. So it's I bet you I can come up with something before you put this out.
okay, well, that would be great. And of course, I will rally up everyone I know, especially all the clarinet players I know.
Yes. So yeah, hey, can you lead in with this? Have you played clarinet recently at any shows? Can you ask me that question and then I'll go into another story? Because I'm assuming you'll edit this little bit out.
I might if I learn how to edit.
Oh no! Seriously? I can do that. That's the one thing I can do. Yeah, I think you have to cut out the last 5 minutes.
Really? Okay, I'll try.
Yeah, because we're like scheming and nobody wants to hear that. So I'll help you with that. I can totally help you with that. That's the only thing I'm good at on the computer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want me to say, okay, Mary, so are you gonna play some clarinet for us?
No, if you say, have you played clarinet in any shows recently?
Oh, have you played clarinet in any shows recently?
Yeah, yeah.
So have you?
I thought that was still rehearsal. I can't wait to come down to Raleigh and hang out. You have any good happy hours down there?
Tons, tons.
Gosh. Oh,
Okay, you do realize that can't be edited out now because it was too funny.
oh, okay. Well, so I'll try to be serious now. Well, yes, Tracy, come to think of it. Hi, God. Well, yeah, I played some clarinet a couple weeks ago. We did a big ACLU fundraiser, so for the American Civil Liberties Union, and I wanted to open with the Star Spangled Banner because this whole I follow a little football, and this whole Colin Kaepernick, one of the quarterbacks out west, he wasn't happy, and I agree with him. The way that some minorities were getting discriminated against in like basic traffic pullovers,
Yeah.
by overworked, under therapied police officers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so he would just kneel for the Star Spangled Banner. And people were outraged with this, but I'm like, no, you should. This is a free country. He has a right to be angry, and he's not doing great at quarterback, so at least let him use his time for something else. Let him do good in some other ways. I mean, at least he's raising awareness of this. And
Yeah.
so I opened with Star Spangled Banner, and we did it in G. And I don't know what it's supposed to be in, but that was the key I like, because I can hit that range singing, and it's a nice clarinet range. So I had conservative voters there at the ACLU show, believe it or not, and liberal voters, and I just did showed them all the positions you can enjoy the Star Spangled Banner in. And I had like one guy in downward dog, one guy kneeling, doing the Kaepernick, as I call it, one guy in full salute, uh, and just saying, it doesn't mean you're any less of an American, but this is just, in fact, I just called it an old American standard. And I actually hate that word American. I wish there was another word, because there's two Americas. But
Right. I know.
yeah, North. It's not even a North American standard. It's just an old United States standard. I guess that's both a noun and a adjective, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
but and I felt really good, because I played with my a drummer and an accordion, and felt so good to play that. I really was like, oh, I wish I could play more. And then I backed later on. I backed up a ukulele. He's an older guy. He's probably about 80, and had never had a backup band on his ukulele songs. And he had like a protest song from 1970 something, I think, that
Wow.
we brought back to life, talking about atom bombs, or you know I think that his protest was from Vietnam War days, but it's a funny song, and so I got to do a little solo on that, and that was such a good time. I wish I could still play more, but really this comedy is so all consuming. I know Emo Phillips still plays regularly, or he taught himself, I think, and and Woody Allen is very famous.
Yeah.
He I don't even know how he's so good, because he doesn't even know that much about the logistics of a clarinet, but he just stuck at it, and he's great. But he doesn't trap. He stays in his apartment in New York, and
Yeah.
it's a lot easier. I basically stopped practicing, or stopped. I used to cart it around to the hotels and play in the hotels. Um, but when they got the baggage fees going on all the airlines, then I kind of stopped, because I was like, wait a second, I have to check a bag because I'm bringing my clarinet on board, and basically it's costing me $50 every weekend
Right.
if I want to practice my clarinet at the hotel. So I just stopped bringing it with. But yeah, do you have Here's my question to you. I have a good clarinet, and I have a beer clarinet. Yeah, it's a
That's the one you play when you drink beer.
yeah, in polka band. I've painted on it. It's plastic. I decorated it. Uh,
That's cool.
yeah, because I don't want to ruin my good clarinet. Costs more than my car, so I don't want to
Yeah.
ruin that. Do you have a beer horn and a regular?
I I only have one horn. I have drank beer and played it,
Yeah.
and
There's not as
but
many pads to. I mean, you have the valves that could get sticky, but you can clean those pretty good. Don't
yeah,
you?
they you clean it out once a year or once every couple of years. Admittedly, I have waited 2 years to clean it, and it's kind of gross by that point.
Oh,
But
I can't wait till you get ants. I used to have kids who would open their saxophone. It was always the saxophone players who would open their cases after a summer, and their case would be full of ants, because
ants, it's disgusting.
they've been playing it like with candy after they had candy, or oh,
Right.
yuck.
Well, I remember in my high school band, I mean, I grew up in a very rural area too, and the whole thing was about football and cheerleaders, right?
Yeah.
And so if you were in the band, yeah, You were like in the outskirts of society, let's just put it that way. And
Oh.
that there was a kid who got like someone put a Hostess cupcake in his saxophone. He didn't even know. He just kept he just kept playing ba-dum, ba-na-na-na-na-na. That was his favorite song. He would just play that over and over again. And he didn't even know there was a Hostess cupcake in there.
He was making his pitch a little short because it's shortening the tube.
Yeah, yeah, with the cupcake.
You reminded me marching band. Okay, so we had we had one of the bigger classes in my school. We had 4 towns in our school, and our class was one of the bigger classes, and we had about 40 people. And our high school band, up north, it's so cold. We don't have very much. We don't do marching bands really like they do the whole huge contest. When I went to Tennessee, when I went down to Murfreesboro, I had to basically learn how the math behind all these graphs for these marching band formations and like the science, and there's a whole industry dedicated to making the flags, making the computer software for marching bands, and like it was so much. I didn't grow up with that because it's so cold most of the year. Plus, we had a tiny, tiny school. I know University of Madison has a wonderful marching band, but up north in a tiny school like that, you don't have that. So we would march like we'd have to do a field presentation at the homecoming football game,
Yeah.
And oh my God, it should have been like it. It was more like it looked like we were just out there protesting something. Like you couldn't ever guess what what letter we were trying to form, and our teacher was pretty smart. He would just have the drums play this ticka ticka ticka, and he'd call it the scatter drill. And we'd all just, instead of marching in any uniform way, we'd all just run around crazy and then try to end up on one spot and make a W, But it didn't matter because our bleachers were so short, probably nobody, but it really looked like we were just rioting or just like protesting the football game itself. And it was so cold. I learned how to play with those stretchy gloves on. Like I even covered the hole. I was able to cover the holes even wearing gloves.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah, I still feel cold thinking about that cold frozen field coming up through those little canvas shoes we all wore because that was the cheapest thing, and it was like the poorest or the second poorest school district in Wisconsin at the time, and gosh, yeah. Ugh. Anyway, I'm so glad that's over.
Me too. Oh, I couldn't stand marching band. We didn't even have marching French horns. That's how poor our school just didn't really care, about that. So I had to march with a regular horn.
Yeah, that was our gal. We had one horn player, and that was her too.
Yeah.
It looked really awkward. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you just have to memorize everything. Or she had an armband or something she used.
I hated walking and playing. I couldn't do it.
I don't even know. Yeah, that's too much.
Worst
But
thing ever.
I would say this is a little too inside, but your podcast is called Crushing Classical, so everybody that you have listened probably knows about these types of things.
Yeah, they kind of do. But it's fun to walk down memory lane. I mean, maybe not everybody knows. Maybe not everyone has done marching band in the North.
Yeah. You know, you ever see that Woody Allen movie, Take the Money and Run, where he does marching band, but he's a cello player, so he has to sit down and play, and then pick up his chair, run up, catch up to the band, sit down and play again.
I think I've seen that clip before.
He's
That's
so
fun.
funny. I've had to throw.
Is he one of your favorite comedians? Like who are your influencers in comedy?
Oh gosh, yeah. I love all those old timers. Like I love Carol Burnett and just all the like I loved watching Lucille Ball and Louis Anderson because he's from Minnesota, you know. So I'm born in Minnesota, grew up in Wisconsin, now I live back in Minnesota. But we have a lot in common, he and I. And gosh, there's just too many. You know, I love Bob Newhart. I think the first person that I ever really got into when I decided to start doing comedy was Bob Newhart. And
I used to watch that show when I was a kid. I kind of didn't really get it.
his CDs, his or his records are really funny. I don't know if the
Really?
first one is called the Button Up Comic or something like that. I screw up titles royally, but yeah, Ellen. Oh, I saw Ellen DeGeneres. You know, when I was like a little kid, I saw. I think I was in sixth grade or fifth grade or something like that. I saw Ellen DeGeneres on Star Search before anybody knew her. You
Oh my
know,
God, remember Star Search? I used to watch Star Search every single week.
yeah, I I I watched her on there because I love Star Search, and I think there's this like lip syncing show that came on after it that was I
Yes.
loved. But I I thought, wow, that lady's really great. I didn't think I would be a comic, but I thought she's just really good at what she does. So I had this little bulletin board and I wrote her name down on my bulletin board and I pinned it up there just because I was like, I bet she's going to be famous someday. And I just kept that I never cleared off that bulletin board, and even after college when I was taking everything down, I saw Ellen DeGeneres' name on my bulletin board and I was like, "Oh yeah, I was right. She, she was good. I should have been a manager or a talent scout instead of putting myself through the torment of actually being the act." But yeah, I did enjoy her on there and
So did you ever have to, I mean, when you want to be a stand-up comic, but you have never done that, did you just watch people or did you ever study with somebody? Like how did
no, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's just trial and error, I guess. You know, I actually have probably listened to fewer comedy CDs than any comedian because I always wanted to make sure that I was my own self and that I didn't sound like anybody else. And,
Mm-hmm.
and that, and then, and then I think that if you listen to too many comedy CDs, then you're paranoid. Like, I don't ever want to be where like, oh, so and so did this bit, or like, I don't think I've done any bits that somebody else is also doing. You know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that legitimately will steal a bit, but there's just such a thing as, oh, you both have the same idea because there's a billion comics. But
Right.
I don't listen to people's CDs because I don't want. I always want to know that I'm innocent. You know.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, I've never tried to be like somebody or mimic anybody. But I do have a friend, and she has her own Netflix show. Her name's Maria Bamford, and she's a wonderful comedian and impressionist, where she does these voices. It's amazing. She's talented. She started in music too, actually.
Really?
Yeah, in high school, I think she played classical music on violin, and I think she started her comedy using her violin as well. But our we're from the same area. We're from about 45 minutes apart, and my folks were from Duluth, Minnesota, and then we moved over, and I grew up in the Wisconsin side, like 45 minutes south or an hour south of Duluth.
Mm-hmm.
But we all still have the very similar mannerisms. And Maria happens to have a higher voice as well. And so, you know, because people aren't used to that region of the country, like not many people make a special trip to, everybody knows what New York people sound like, you know,
Right.
from
Yeah.
TV or travel because it's a destination. But nobody's traveling to northern Wisconsin or eastern Minnesota to and if they would, they would stop sending me or posting negative messages on YouTube or negative comments, because Maria has these wonderful fans, and rightfully so, because she's so talented. And but like they will say, Maria wants her everything back. Like, these are just like people who have nothing else to do in their lives. And I will actually get accused of stealing Maria's material, which is ridiculous, because we both talk about our life experiences, and we have different life experiences. And but they do that just because we have similar mannerisms, because we grew up in the same area. You can meet thousands of other people who talk like us, or, and it's very frustrating because nobody gets online and accuses one low-voiced male from New York of stealing another low-voiced male's act, who also is from New York,
Right.
They only do it because we stand out as being unique from that area.
Right. You're the only two people from that area, too.
Yeah. That was the first sign that I knew Donald Trump would win, because people are just dumb. And they don't do the research. It's like, well, you watched my Conan clip. You heard my material. There's no material there that Maria does. And she's such a sweet woman. When I first went on television in 2008, she actually would write people on, it was MySpace at the time. She would write people and defend me, But people have gotten so stupid and so bad that even SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, SAG was mailing my checks to Maria's house, and then Maria had to mail me my checks.
What?
Even though my name and my address are on my checks, they would still, this is crazy. That's just people need to get out more. Sometimes the biggest hicks are the people from towns like Los Angeles or New York who haven't seen. But I mean, I shouldn't say that. It's just, there's some people who just are hurtful and uneducated, and haven't been to enough parts of the country to recognize that there's still some regionalism that exists,
Yeah, right. And, I think that's why a lot of people don't even read their comments or their, YouTube comments, or even reviews or anything like that. Performers just choose not to read those things anymore because they're stupid.
I didn't mean to. I don't read most of them, but I have so many nice supporters too that they actually will sometimes send me a message via the comments, and I should just put on the videos that I'm not going to read the comments, or just for the most part, they're all really nice comments, but I should disable that. When I learn how to download podcasts, maybe you could how to disable. Can you teach me how to disable the internet, Tracy? Is that something you can do?
Yeah, I think you can do that.
Good.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't get any news or any stuff like that. So that would kind of suck.
Yeah, I know. It's just such a free, frustrating thing, I know you pay, but Facebook's free, and people complain it's does make you angry, but it's just free service, so it's well, we can't really.
Yeah, right. I know. We complain about this thing that we're doing for free. I call my friends sometimes using the Facebook call. You can use Facebook to call people now.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's kind of it sounds as clear as this, so I use it sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't work, and I'll be like, "Damn free service!"
I know.
Why isn't it working? But anyway, Mary, this has been super fun talking to you today. You know what? I want to ask you one more thing, because I have my final questions. I know we didn't really stick to the script, but that's what made this so great anyway. So, but I wanted to ask you the final question, because because I find that it's so interesting, people's answers. And the question is, what do you have a habit or behavior that you've developed over the years that has really benefited your career?
Um,
And what would it be?
you know, that's like what what I learned in classical music, what I learned in training in school is, and it has benefited me. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Be over prepared. My clarinet instructor, like I would be ready for everything, because there's consequences to pay if you're not, and I over prepare for comedy as well because of that. Like, practice, practice, practice,
Yeah.
and I do the same thing for comedy, and I've been able to make a career out of it because of that work ethic from classical music. I had a wonderful Greek clarinet teacher. He was so strict and funny, and he'd swear in my lessons and everything. But he's a great guy, Kate Gynakopoulos. His teacher was Iggy Janusa, so I got like, he's one of the greatest clarinet teachers of all time. So I got this, just what do you call it, two generations off of, or one. I got one generation off of Iggy Janusa for teaching.
Wow.
So I use that in everything. Like when I'm performing for a company, I've already researched the company, written about the company. Like I care way too much, actually. But it's benefited me, and I wouldn't. I paid off my music debt and my polka debt, and through comedy money, which is
Wow.
never happens. I paid off my teaching debt. I racked up a real good drinking visa bill teaching.
Well, I'm glad you're talking about that too, because it's one of the things I sort of want to start talking about on this podcast because we always don't talk about money and how we don't make any as musicians, and it's interesting to hear how you're making money now, and that it's great that it's working for you and that you're able to get out of the debt because
Yeah.
wow.
I have I have hopes that someday I'd like to teach lessons again and stay. I just like the little kids, and um, I even love adults who want to start learning something. It's really fun. So maybe someday I can stay in shape enough to be able to do that, because I do really enjoy it, and I just think it was so nice to. This has been a real memory lane, memory lane talk here. And you know what, Tracy, you're a good influence on me. I have to go to LA for 6 weeks, and I think now I'm going to bring my clarinet with me.
Nice. So you can stay in shape. Yeah. Awesome. Well, you're allowed to have two carry-ons. That can count as your personal item.
Well, guess what? We're driving, so
Okay. Okay.
I'll put it under the dog bed. He can use it as a pillow or something. Yeah.
That's
Well,
awesome.
yeah. If you have any more things you want me to questions that'll clarify, um, let me know, and I can hop on here again. And I know I'm not the most concise speaker.
No, this has been fun. I like when they can be conversational and spontaneous, and that is what I was hoping for today, and that is definitely what happened. So that's really great. And I can't wait to find out when you're going to be here, because when you are going to be here in North Carolina and Raleigh, I will make sure that everybody that I know knows
Oh,
that,
thank you.
and we'll all be there to watch your show. So thank you so much, Mary, and I'll keep everyone posted on what you're doing through, my posts about this episode. So,
Oh, I really appreciate it. Now,
yeah.
you already have closed out the show, but do I just say bye to you now?
Well, here, what I usually do is I say thank you everyone for listening. And if you're enjoying Crushing Classical, please review it on iTunes. And also visit me at facebook.com/Crushing Classical. And I'm on Instagram as Crushing Classical. And thank you, Mary, so much for being on today. And yeah.
Yeah.
It's been awesome.
Great. I'm going to go to your Facebook page right now and like you. So will you like me? I'm Mary Mack Comedy.
Yes,
Okay.
I will. And everyone should like Mary Mack on Facebook, Mary Mack Comedy. And is there anything else you want people to do?
Well, I really someday hope to be off Facebook, so I always direct people to my website, which is also marymackcomedy.com, and I have a mailing list on there. And man, I need subscribers because I found out people don't like women voicing their political opinions. I had a lot of unsubscribers when I
Oh, really?
when I made the strong stance saying I don't know if we should have a sexual abuser in office. Woo, that's boy. So yeah,
Got some unsubscribes for that. Yeah,
it's crazy. So I'm trying to get more subscribers or and communicate to people that way. And I don't even.
That's great.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
even.
well,
Yeah, expect people to read it all. I just put the states I'm in the topics or in the subject line.
okay. Well, I'll put your Facebook or I'll put your website in the show notes as well, and people can sign up for your newsletter that way. And yeah, because that's the best way to stay on top of it. If it goes right in your inbox, that's the best way. So
You're busy. What else can I ask you to do for me? You know how to change oil? Well, thank you very much, Tracy.
Thanks, Mary, and thank you everyone for listening.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye, guys.